Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again with some more Destiny 2 news. Now, this week here, we have our next weekly update for the month of October. This one here is for October 12th. And of course, they started off with Cosmo opening up here, filling in for Deej, by the way. This week at Bungie, we're controlling new zones. And of course, Lord Saladin has made his return to the tower, and players have already been rallying to his flaming shield. Now, as mentioned earlier in the week, they have launched a brand new map, which is called Distant Shore. Now, it's a Crucible map set being held here on Nessus. And of course, it's very familiar to Destiny 1 veterans, because remember, they played this map called Shores of Time on Venus. And of course, I told you guys I didn't get the full image from this new map, and now, as you can see right here, it's almost identical to the Shores of Time map on Venus for Destiny 1, but now in Destiny 2, it's a remake of the D1 map called Distant Shore. And of course, you can find this on Nessus. Now, of course, it's playable now in Iron Banner, but once Iron Banner is over, which will end Tuesday on, let me think of the date, October 17th. Yeah, Tuesday, October 17th at 5 a.m., that's when Iron Banner will be over. That's in Eastern Time and 2 a.m. Pacific Time. But that doesn't mean the map will go away. No. The PvP map called Distant Shore will be available in the rotation cycle. So there you go. Now, we're going to quickly go to PC users. Now, in 12 days' time, Destiny 2 is going to go live on PC or personal computers. If you don't know the short term for it there, it's going to be available to all Destiny 2 players all over the world if you've already pre-ordered it. Now, every player on the PC will be able to start their adventure at the same time. Now, again, the clock will eventually display a different time depending on where you're located. Now, if you want to know the exact time of when you're going to be playing, in quotation marks, the go live time in your region will be available for this nice map. Now, of course, you can use the link right here, which, by the way, I'll post it in the description box below. So first of all, let's start with people living in LA. It's 10 p.m. Pacific time on October 24th. If you live in New York, it's 1300 EDT. If you live in Sao Paulo, that'll be in the BRT region at 1400. Pretty sure that's in, I think, military hours, I'm going to guess. But again, I'm just reading these times on the map here, excuse me. Of course, if you live in London, that's in 1800 BST there. In Berlin, that's around 1900 CEST. And if you live in the Moscow, sorry. My apologies to the people in Moscow. I did not mean to interpret that name wrong there. No, it's the people in Moscow. If you live in that Moscow time, it'll be at 2000 hours there on October 24th. I'm sorry if I'm screwing up these times here, but I'm just reading them on the map. Now, on October 25th, if you live in the Singapore area, it'll be at 0100, that's in SGT time. Same time, but it's in the CST area in Taipei. And in JST time at 0200 in Tokyo. And finally, I'm pretty sure I know this one a little bit, in the Australian EST area at 0400 in Sydney. So there you go. Those are the time regions right here for both October 24th and 25th. That's when the PC launch goes live in those respective areas. And like I said, I'll post the link for all those times in the description box below when I go back to the TWAB. And if you're ready to play on PC, well, you got to make sure you have your minimum and recommended specs for the beta. Well, actually from the beta in a previous update. So here's a chart that you'll be able to check out before the release on October 24th at the retail stores and through the Battle.net app from Blizzard. Now, for your CPU, for the Intel, your minimum requirements will be the Intel Core i3 3250 3.5 GHz or the Intel Pentium G4560 3.5 GHz. That's your minimum requirements. The recommended requirements will be the Intel Core i5 2400 3.4 gigahertz or the i5 7400 3.5 GHz. So those are your minimum and recommended requirements for the Intel. If you have a computer which is the AMD, your minimum requirement will be the AMD FX 4350 4.2 GHz. And the recommended requirement is the AMD Ryzen R5 1600X 3.6 GHz. Now, for NVIDIA, the minimum requirement for that is the NVIDIA GeForce, that's GeForce, GTX 660, that's the number 660, and 2 gigabytes, or the GTX 1050 2 gigabytes. Okay, now the recommended requirement, it's almost identical, but it has a GTX 970 4 gigabytes or the GTX 1060 6 gigabytes. Okay, now for the AMD in the GPU category right there, remember this is GPU, not CPU. In the AMD category, the minimum requirement for that is the AMD Radeon HD 7850, 2 gigabytes for that. And recommended requirement for that one is the AMD R9 390, 8 gigabytes, excuse me. Now, as far as RAM is concerned, minimum requirement for that is 6 gigabytes. Recommended requirement will be 8. Okay. Now, your operating system will either be the Windows 7 64-bit or the Windows 8.1 64-bit or the Windows 10 64-bit. Now, pretty sure all of these are recommended for play, and your hard drive space, you have to have at least 68 gigabytes available on the hard drive space. So there you go. Again, you can just check them over again and pause the video if you wish, just to check out these requirements again. Next up, we're going to be talking about Prestige Raid. Now, again, earlier this week, they postponed the launch of the Prestige Raid, which was supposed to be launched back this Tuesday on October 11th. But according to Bungie, they said that an exploit was discovered that could cast doubt on the legitimacy of the fire team who captures the coveted title of World's First. Now, they've been working on the fix, but the short-term solution has contained too much risk. Now, eventually they're planning on fixing the exploit that some players are using only to break other parts of the game for everyone. Now, eventually they're pushing it to a later date, which will be October 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And now, of course, they can detect if any teams eventually use this exploit to gain an advantage, but eventually they'll crown the winners with the confidence they deserve. So again, World's First will be up for grabs. There's more than likely going to be a safe fix going to be investigated for this issue. Now, the current plan will eventually be deployed as part of a future update. So more details will be on the way. But here's the big piece of information here, which was at the last part of this sentence right here. This isn't the only upcoming raid news. We will be back next week to tell you about raid challenges that have been designed to make you rethink familiar encounters. So it looks like Bungie may have confirmed this here, that we are bound to have a challenge mode in the Leviathan raid coming soon. So they'll tell us about it on the next edition of This Week at Bungie for October 19th, which will be next Thursday. And before we wrap this all up, of course, they had Hotfix 1.0.3.2, which was resolving the tower crashes. Of course, this was to resolve issues where players could experience the console crashes when attempting to load into the tower. Now, the initial monitoring has shown some positive results, and of course, players should not experience this issue moving forward. So there you go. That was it. That was the only information from the hotfix, which was 1.0.3.2, which was problems for the tower when attempting to load into the tower. I think on that note, that's officially going to be it, folks. And again, I'm already enjoying Iron Banner. If you want to see the Iron Banner loot and the Season 1 reward, you can definitely click the link in the description box below right there. And of course, like I said, for the PC launch times, I'll post the link for that as well. And of course, Prestige Raid now less than a week away on October 18th. Again, I'm not going to be getting World's First because I'm going to be working that day, but only up until 1:15, 1:30 at the latest. So once I get back home, I'll definitely attempt it for sure. So that's going to do it for this week at Bungie's latest update for October 12th. And of course, if you want to see some more Destiny 2 gameplay content, head on over to the channel there. I have most of it uploaded. And if you are brand new to the channel, if you like this content so far, hit the subscribe button by just officially hitting it. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. And of course, we are still trying to reach our goal of 600, so let's try and get there soon. If you are a subscriber, hit the notifications button by hitting that bell. Leave a like and a comment in the video section, folks. And I'll catch you guys next time for more. Enjoy Iron Banner, folks, and enjoy Prestige Raid next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you next time.